18 pieces of activity last January. I'm guessing that we're in a more solid situation. There will be activity, there's bound to be,
yeah.
but a more solid situation where we don't need to be completely revamping what we're doing.
I think, I can't remember how many people have told me that at Carlisle United, supporters and people, that you need to do this, you need to do that. Everybody's got an idea on what's right. But the most important thing is that we do what's right, and what I've tried to do is we had to take a step back. We did have to, without, John Sheridan was outstanding for us at the beginning, and then he goes to Chesterfield. We had to take a step back in terms of the way the club was structured, and that was a key implement that I've looked at and changed. People were having a go, saying there's 1 year, there's no continuity, but when you're in that transition, it's very difficult and you can make mistakes. If your recruitment isn't quite correct, you end up having to write a cheque for people to leave. Sadly, it didn't go right for Stephen, and we wish him well. But however, wasn't left with an amount of money that we had to shell out in terms of players who would probably weren't anybody, weren't Chris Beach's players, and that had to change. So to have continuity, you have to build from strength, and so taking it back, stripping it back, everything they do, bonus schemes, all types of different aspects that this club was performing and giving out, in my opinion, had to be changed, and it's proving to be more prudent for us. We're not at risk, and players will be given contracts should they deserve them. And also, I can see in Louis Bell, he had to be, in my opinion, supported and also protect the football club, as I did with Branthwaite and McCarran and Galloway. So all I'll say is that we won't put ourselves at risk in terms of distribution of contracts and giving people that don't deserve it. They've got to earn it, and they are. But you don't panic. You protect, and at the moment you preserve, and that's what we're doing. And I think there's a great spirit inside our dressing room area. You guys, the ladies, the officers, a real good spirit inside the place, and it's a tough time, but ultimately no one's panicking. And in terms of the distribution of contracts, we'll do them accordingly, based on success, and it'll all have to be based on success. But players are wanting to be here. They're not about. Chris goes on about it. It's not about me, and he's right. There was a lot of players here last year who didn't know where their futures were going to be, and some of them are still out of contract, and it's not the way to be. You've got to want to wear that shirt with pride, and buy into, which players have done. They've moved to the area and they're here, which is great. So they get to understand about this Cumbrian spirit and this togetherness inside the community, and that's great.
That positivity. I mean, at one point on Saturday we were third in the table. Yeah. I wouldn't ask you to predict whether that'll stay the same all season, but we've given us the recruitment, the way that the lads are in that dressing room, as you've just spoken about. We're giving ourselves a really good chance here.
I think you don't want to overstep the mark, but you just go on them things that we call facts. And if those boys are pushed as hard and have that willingness to have bought into Carlisle, then I want my job next summer and to be easier, because it got easier in terms of we had some already. We had 7, I think it was 7 or 8 players already retained. Andertons, Callum Guy, Aaron Hayden, and it was easier to not have to look at that department. I don't really want to have to do too much changes. There are people that have said they'll only take 1 year contracts, which is fine. I'm happy with that. But most of them I've got options with. But if they're doing really well and they buy into Chris Beach, then I'll extend. So Manchester United during the 80s under Alex Ferguson only had I think a small percentage of turnover, 1 or 2 players. Liverpool have done the same now, because even that's a different generic situation. The best clubs have them situations tied up. One thing they've got is finance. We have to be really careful with that finance. So it's a harder job in terms of that. But on a smaller scale, we can have that. But it takes time, and we don't have abundance of fortunes coming through the door. We really don't. And at this time, I wouldn't expect any more, because it's a hard world out there. What we've done, we've worked inside the club to make sure the manager's supported, the staff are supported, the players are supported. And full credit to the players and the management and the manager, that there's a great togetherness out there. There's nobody out there thinking, I'm going to move on straight away here. They like being here. So in terms of the turnover, I want it to reduce again, but I can only do that based on what Chris Beach does in his team and his training. The training is very good, but then players need to go out there and support the manager, give him the confidence to continue that, and then when a player, whoever that may be, says, or the manager says, I think we should support him, then I'll do that if I can. But with Mellish, we both sat down. I said it to Chris, and Chris said it to me. We see more in him, so why not protect our football club, but also look after John? It's just that both way. It doesn't always come that way, because players might want to move back to an area, a girlfriend gets pregnant, they want to move back to, I don't know, whatever reasons. But we have to look at the overall situation. Right now, Chris Beach should be commended for the way the players are playing, but it's down to the players to keep doing what they're doing and working really hard. We are 1 point off the top, which is super, absolutely super. If we break down the season and manage it month by month or game by game, I think month by month will give you more of an indication of where we're going to be. We're going to find out certainly about your big spenders out there, the expectations of directors, supporters, and the financial situation. If you look at, I'm not going to name a team or two teams, in fact, that are they getting value for money? Right now, no. People can make assumptions, but I look at the owners. I look at the owners from my point of view. I look at where them owners' expectations are in other clubs, not ours, because I know where ours are. But we know that we're cutting our cloth very well. I worry more about the owners that dive in and give managers support and pay out bundles. People call it Brewster's millions. Well, we can't do that. We know that. So which way we work really hard. But then there are some clubs that have gone out there, and I worry about the expenditure levels for some. I know that some have got away with it before the cap came in, and probably left with players that are giving them not as much value for money. Only they can do that, but I would worry about the continuity without any fans, how much level of support people can continue spending that type of money. And I do think that the league, the EFL, should look at that. Not blame, but why? Because it could have a really bad effect, and I hope it doesn't, because we've seen it with Bury, and there might be one or two more that are not as well equipped, if you like. So it could blow up in their faces. The consequences are huge. But one thing I know that Carlisle won't do is get in that situation. So I think our supporters can have the knowledge that we are doing everything we can to protect, but also performing over there on the training ground, and it's a really healthy place. But I do worry that there are some owners out there that have thought, oh, I'll leave it to that guy, and he's gone, well, I'll give him a 3-year deal on X amount of money, and we'll end up, as I said before, writing a cheque out that perhaps really not needed. And judgment is everything, of course, and you only get judged on your performance in the lower of the league and the top of the league on what you've got. So, you know, under Jim Bentley, Morecambe did brilliantly well, you know, absolutely outstandingly well. We remained in the league, and the levels were what they expected. Accrington have done it for a long time. Wickham have done it recently. They've won, you know, did it brilliantly. You know, should they be judged on staying in the Championship, or you know, should the manager be judged on if they don't do well, I will sack him? Or he might be overachieving for what they're spending. So there's lots of scenarios out there. But as I say, one thing for us, we'll do our business quietly and protect our club.
And just finally, David, sorry to dump this on you, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't. With your link with EWM, is there anything you can say on? I mean, they're in the paper almost every week at the moment. Anything you can say to reassure the fans?
All I say is that since I've been at the football club, they've been unbelievably brilliant, absolutely unbelievably brilliant. A lot of things are said in the papers, and it's not my business to share anything I know or don't know, in all honesty. But what I'll say is that EWM are fully in support of Carlisle United. They have been, and we're very, very grateful for the way that they've supported the club, because the club would probably be in a different place if it wasn't for EWM. I think people should respect that. they're in the papers for a reason. They're high profile. They have got an unbelievable business, and they've built up an unbelievable success based on the way they do things. And I hope that they're safe. I hope that they remain safe, and that's as much as I can tell you. But I do know that they've been an amazing support for this football club, and long may that continue.